And I believe we are recording now. And I will turn this on. All right, fantastic. Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to watch this video. My name is Travis Becker, and I serve as the Assistant Dean of Students for Strategic Initiatives and Policy Analysis here at UC Santa Cruz. And this is the 2021-2022 academic year campus elections orientation.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bishop, and I work for the Budget, Resource and Management Department, formerly Planning and Budget. And I will be presenting the budget information.
Thanks so much, Lisa. So there are several relevant policies to today's presentation and to the task of navigating the campus elections and putting referenda on the ballot. Those are the policy on compulsory campus-based student fees. That's section 80 of the University of California policies applying to campus student activities, organizations, and students, as well as the UC Santa Cruz campus elections policy. Section 5 of the campus elections policy, prior to compulsory fee question being placed on the ballot, those responsible for approving the ballot question will verify that students have been represented and involved in the planning process to develop the fee proposal. Student consultation is critical to this work. The policy on compulsory campus-based fees requires that measure authors verify that there was appropriate student representation on a planning committee which was charged with developing need, cost, and viability assessments. So strategies that have been used in the past are advisory committees, focus groups with students, planning committees that include students on the planning committee, consultation with student governments at UC Santa Cruz, and opinion polls and surveys of the student body.
With regard to building the budget, every proposal has to have a budget attached. And the things to consider are the staff salary and benefits, any student employment that will be paid through the referenda fees, your operating expenses, which noted here, phone, mail, supplies, student programming and events costs. And then if it's a facilities fee that will be used to either build a new facility or upgrade a current facility, you will have to coordinate with the planning and budget office and we will have to put together a separate proposal for a debt service. And then other things are, as mentioned, equipment and so forth. Also to consider, you have ongoing costs. So these will be costs that will recur every year. And those would probably be your staff salaries and other salaries and your maintenance costs for your project. And then you have to consider one-time costs, which might be cost for setting up your program. Like for example, if you have a library, like a learning library, this fee would be maintaining, you would have one-time costs for purchasing the initial books and infrastructure for it. And then there would be ongoing costs for maintaining those programs. Next. So you will have to submit a budget with your referenda information. And you will have to have, if you are going to include in your fee proposal staff salaries, you can, I have a link here to go to where you can get the current minimum amounts for certain types of administrators and other salaried employees, so or even hourly employees. You can go there if you need to know how much that the minimum payments are going to be for certain classifications. You can use that link And then we have, you have to also include the benefits. And so there's a composite benefit rate table. And there's 4 different pieces: the CBR, the VLA, the GALE, and the RPNI. There's a link here to the Planning and Budget website, which details what those rates are. And you will have to include all of those for a staff salary. And then the model that we will provide will automatically build in a 3 to 4% annual cost increase each year for salary increases and benefit increases. Next. And then also for student workers, these would be students that would be working less than 20 hours per week during the school year. And just for the remainder, which is almost over now, in 2021, it was $14 an hour. And starting January 22 and ongoing, it will be $15 an hour. And then the benefits, again, are on the Planning and Budget. And these you will only include the CBR and the GALE. You don't include all of the benefits. But that will also be in the worksheet we will provide. Next. The fee revenue currently, the 2019-20 three-quarter average enrollment was 16,776 undergraduates and 1,888 graduate students for 18,664 total. So what you're gonna, so you can use that number, or if you want to coordinate with Planning and Budget, we can probably give you some additional updates to what maybe the upcoming enrollments are. Currently, we normally just flatline the enrollments because they can go, they fluctuate quite a bit. Some years they go down, some years they go up. So it's just easier to flatline it, and you probably will be pretty close to having a correct amount. And then you would take, in order to calculate what your revenue would be from your fee, you would take the number of students. So if your fee is only for undergraduates, you just use the undergraduate number. If it's only going to be charged to graduate students, you would just take the graduate students, or if it's going to be charged to undergraduates and graduate students, you take the total. And then you take the total enrollments times the fee times the 3/4 to come up with what your revenue would be from the fee that you're requesting. Next. And then on top of that, you have to calculate in a return to aid requirement at UCSC. It has to be at least 33% of whatever your fee revenue has to be set aside for return to aid. So then you would calculate the number of students times the fee times the 3/4 times 33% to calculate how much of your revenue will have to be set aside for return to aid. Next. So there's 2 methodologies for building a budget. The top-down approach is, you know, the approximate fee level that you want to charge each student each quarter. You kind of have an idea what the appropriate amount that you will think should be charged. And then you compute the total revenue based on the number of students times the number of quarters. And then you deduct 33% of that for return to aid. And then you would have the balance that will be available each year for your program. And then you determine how you're going to allocate that revenue to each of the pieces of your project. So how much will be required for staff positions? How much will be required for student workers? How much will be required for benefits, supplies, activities, etc. And then there should be a little bit set aside for cost increases over the course of time. Next. The second methodology is the bottom-up approach, which is you just figure out how much you're going to need for your project in order to staff it properly and to have enough money to do your program. So you would calculate how many staff positions and how much you would need for that, how much you will need for student workers, and then how much you're going to need for benefits for both the staff position and the student workers. How much is going to be required for programming, and then a little bit of reserve for cost increases over time. And then you calculate how much the fee should be by calculating what you're going to need for operating funds, and then taking that and dividing it by 0.67 in order to find out how much you're going to need, including the return to aid that's required. And then you divide it by the number of students, divided by 3/4. And so you would calculate what your fee per quarter is you're going to request. Next. Just some of the things to keep in mind when you're requesting a new referenda, that the costs increase over time, especially if you're going to have staff positions. So you want to really consider how much staff you really are going to be required with your referenda, because there's usually about a 3% salary increase every year. And then on top of that, there's increase in benefits. And then the fee revenue varies with enrollment. So if enrollments go up, you're going to have additional revenue that will be carrying forward year to year. And we try to monitor that and make sure that we have a fee that doesn't accumulate too much carry forward, because the fees are supposed to be used in the year that they're charged to the students. But then again, if the enrollment goes down significantly, you won't have enough revenue to cover all of your salaries and so forth. So it would be insufficient to cover all those cost increase. So it's a delicate balance to prepare your budget. Next. So you really, when you're looking at referenda, you want to minimize the amount of staff that you're going to be paying through the referenda, and then always build in a small reserve. We really don't encourage much of a reserve, but a smaller reserve for those future cost increases. And some of the fees at some of the other campuses actually include a cost escalator, so that every year you can have it, the fee actually increase per year based on an escalating factor. And you can work with planning and budget if you want to consider that. Although I'm not sure how well that would go over with the people the students who are voting. And or else you can have it in your referenda to have a future vote for any future increases to the fee. Absolutely. So you just need to have, it's kind of a balance. And then we will provide the budget worksheets. There will be 2 worksheets. These are hard to read, but we will provide these for you. And the yellow area, the dark yellow areas are where the inputs are. And the first one was for a brand new fee. And the second one is for an existing fee where you want to just increase the fee amount, and you have to delineate what you're going to be using those for. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call me or anybody in the Budget Resource and Management Office, and we'll be happy to answer any questions or help you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate that. We cannot do this important work and embark on this important endeavor every year without the support of planning and budget, so greatly appreciate you. I'm going to go over placing a question on the ballot now. So step 1, when you're going to do this, will be to determine your audience. Is this question geared towards undergraduate or graduate students? If you have a measure and you want to tax undergraduate and graduate students at different rates, then you need to actually have 2 separate measures, one for graduate and one for undergraduate students. The measure must include the cost, the return to aid component, how students were consulted, as we went over earlier, those various different methods, be they focus groups or committees, etc. Needs to also include when will the fee begin and for which quarter, summer, will it be assessed? An opinion statement by the Student Fee Advisory Committee, or SFAC, who you'll be in consultation with as you write these out. It must also include a ballot statement, which includes why the fee is needed, how it will be used, and how students will benefit. What will be the student impact? Whether the fee is temporary or ongoing, this is necessary. And please review the application for ballot language and sample measures for more information, which will be included in the packet that you can download with this form. The ballot language. Before a measure is placed on the ballot, the following people and entities must review and comment on the language. So you must get review and consultation from someone from the Dean of Students office, where I work, someone from the office where Lisa works at UC Santa Cruz Planning and Budget. You must also do consultation with the UC Santa Cruz General Counsel, with the UC Office of the President Office for Campus Life, and with the UC Office of the President Office of General Counsel. So these are all the folks who need to review your ballot language. Another important piece is sponsorship in terms of placing a question on the ballot. For undergraduates, you must obtain one of the following. You need a petition signed by at least 10% of the undergraduate student body with no more than 25% from any one college, or a resolution of student union assembly, or a resolution endorsed by 2/3 of the college student governments that exist at each of our 10 colleges, or a proposal of the Dean of Students or the Chancellor after consultation with the Student Union Assembly. Placing a ballot question on the ballot sponsorship for graduate students, you must obtain one of the following: a petition signed by 10% of the graduate student body, or a resolution of the Graduate Student Association, or GSA, or a proposal of the Dean of Graduate Studies or the Chancellor after consultation. For placing a question on the ballot, undergraduate and graduate students must fill out one of the approval mechanisms for the undergraduate students and must fulfill one of the approval mechanisms for graduate students. This is something that needs to happen. Talking about voting pools, a minimum of 25% of the undergraduate student population and or 25% of the graduate student population must vote on a particular measure for the measure to be considered based on the third week enrollment numbers in spring quarter. So we will partner with the campus registrar, take a look at the enrollment numbers for the third week, and those will be the folks who are able to vote in that election. Of those voting on a measure, 66% must vote yes in order for a measure to pass. The electronic voting system. Complete voting process is accomplished on the whole voting process takes place online via the campus elections website. Students log into the voting system using their UC Santa Cruz secure login, and institutional research here at UCSC will administer the voting process, and they also verify the results to make sure everything is in line with policy and that everything is legitimized. The SUA consultation amendment. An amendment to the Constitution may be proposed by either a 2/3 vote of the SUA, 2/3 of the college governments rounded up, or a petition signed by at least 10% of all registered undergraduate students. This is for an SUA constitutional amendment. Once sponsored by one of the above mechanisms, the amendment is placed on the ballot. Approval of any amendment requires a simple majority where 20% of the undergraduate students have noted on the amendment measure. Election guidelines. So by participating in the election, part of the guidelines are that you are to be responsive and conscious of the deadlines, both those that we outline here and others that we'll be in communication with once you file. Another set of your responsibilities is to be in regular contact with myself. Again, my name is Travis Becker, and I serve as the Campus Elections Commissioner and as the Assistant Dean of Students for Strategic Initiatives and Policy Analysis, as well as the campus posting regulations. Please abide by our campus's posting regulations. As we get closer to campaigning and election dates, we will meet again to discuss guidelines for posting, advertising, etc. After the election is over, Results are reviewed and verified again by the Office of Institutional Research. The Chancellor also reviews and approves the results, and our election results are submitted to the UC President, the UC Office of the President, for review and approval. So for this year's campus elections timeline for academic year 2021-2022, Wednesday, the 10th, ballot application, sample measures, and budget templates are emailed out to attendees. If you are watching this now, we have done that. On Monday, January 10th at 2021 at 5 p.m., Monday, January 10th at 2022 at 5 p.m., applications are due for facility-related ballot initiatives. And Monday, January 31st, 2022 at 8:00 a.m., applications are due for all other ballot initiatives. And on Monday, the 25th of April of 2022, voting begins this year. So thank you so much for tuning in to this orientation. If you have questions, clarifications, or concerns, you can email me at trbecker, B as in boy, ECKER@ucsc.edu. Thank you so much. Take care and have a great day.